All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting order. And Mr. Mangus, you do the invocation.
Thank you. In the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for getting us here safely tonight. Please let us help conduct the business of the parish and the infrastructure, which is so vital to us. Please keep the people in Avoyles Parish and other parts of Louisiana that were affected by Arthur in your prayers. And thank you. We trust in you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Goff is here. Miss Erin Sanders was not going to make it. She reached out to me earlier in the week. Lonnie Watts and Mr. What's your name? John Mangus. So, old business. A discussion of the road classification criteria manual. Mr. Dugas, I know we went into lengthy discussion about this at the last meeting, and I see you have some papers for us to look over, and looks like we're getting closer and closer. I will say this, that I am getting, for the roads that y'all are doing, and I did not realize that the cross culverts, when we change a cross culvert on these roads, that the new cross culverts are going to be concrete. I did not realize that. I understand the expense, but I do understand that they'll never go bad as well. So I've been getting a lot of really good, positive comments about that from constituents on some of these roads that are going in, etc. And it's just another point of when y'all look at doing a road, it's looking at doing it right, to where literally down the road, maybe all we have to do is grind the top, resurface it, and move on. But just another reason, that I just appreciate what you do. So you have the floor, sir.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Tonight we're going to talk about a few things, kind of to go on and carry on from where we had our last discussion. I think I gave y'all last time kind of some very preliminary classifications. Tonight I want to kind of really drill down to what we're trying to do. Ultimately, this will be part of a parish-wide master transportation plan. So that's the ultimate goal. But this is like the first bite at it. And over the next few months, I'll be coming to you guys to kind of get some feedback, give you what I've got several consultants that I'm working with. I have them, each of them doing like a particular item, because I don't want to go spend several $1 million for somebody to create a master plan that we don't like. So we're going to do it internally. So I think between this committee, DPW staff, and some of the consultants we already have on retainer and that stuff, that we can do it for a lot less and end up with a better product. So that's my goal. So you have a packet I gave you, has the maps on it. The reason I did that, if you look at the two maps, you'll see the first one just has some colored lines on it. That is the state DOTD functional system map, is what they call it. We do have some parish roads that are within that functional system. You can see those if you go past the second page. You have a list. That's the list I got from the state, and it kind of tells you, what the functional class is. We can kind of go over that, but kind of the reason I gave you the two maps, if you look at the two, one has the local roads in it, what they consider below a minor collector. The one with all the black lines are the roads that we're talking about doing road classification. So as you can tell,
everything left.
Everything in black is what we're going to be doing in our classification. So, some of those roads probably carry the same traffic, the same loads, the same, everything that the state functional class would. It just does not meet a requirement within the state's functional system yet. So our goal is to come up with a classification that fits that minor collector or even a major collector. Is not in a state function, but we have it classified.
Right.
And basically, when the urbanized area of the parish gets to that point, because that's mainly the reason we can't, it's what they consider rural, and it doesn't fit within a functional system, but once the urbanized area moves out, all of a sudden now it's in an urbanized area, it meets all the same criteria. We just basically changed the name from what we have it to whatever the state classification. So that's so we go from that level all the way down to that private, or not private, but individual dead-end road that's got 2 or 3 houses in the back of a subdivision.
Right.
So,
and as I understand, the more that we have it broken out in criteria and classifications, if we do go seeking funding, that's one source, but also when we go to spend dollars
yes.
on blacktop,
So
like
what
we
we've
are
done,
with the $60 million
yes,
bond that we did.
With what we did different with the 2025 bond money, in previous years, they basically just took the pavement assessment and kind of the traffic count, whether you had schools, that kind of thing on it, and kind of scored it. What we did is we weighted the classification of the road, this on the bond money. So if a road goes from state highway to state highway, if the pavement assessment and the schools and the traffic all was the same, it actually scored higher than that same road that went from parish road to parish road, if that makes sense. Because those are the roads that are going to move the traffic. And again, I think what a transportation plan should include and kind of prioritize is moving traffic.
Right.
So that's kind of, maybe a mindset change that we've gone through. So I pulled up the map because I didn't know how good this would be on y'all. So if y'all don't just give me a second, I'll kind of pull this up.
One of the things that I would like to just share is I know we are way behind the 8 ball of we should have done this a long time ago, but nevertheless, we are in the process of getting it done. We're making good decisions on this $60 million on where we put our blacktop. So what I would like to see in the future is like those lower end roads, like the dead end roads and stuff of that nature, that we look at trying to dedicate a certain minimum amount of funds and go backwards from the least amount of road, because once we do that road, we probably wouldn't have to go back for many, many years. And what I would not want to do is I would not want an individual, because of their road capacity, then they are paying taxes as well, just never get to the bottom of the list. You follow me?
So what's going to happen, though, is you're going to end up doing the major roads first.
Right.
So they'll be kind of like out for them because they're not on.
Right. And we'll steady come down this list. I get it. We'll steady come down this list, but some of these other ones are way down. What I would like to do is just take a small amount of money,
We can look at that.
from a finance standpoint, and say we're going to start at the bottom of the list. And when we say we're going to have this much money to work with, and we're going to continue down that list, a portion of that funds, I think it would be smart to start at the bottom of the list and work our way back.
So this will kind of give you a little bit better idea. But see kind of that area, and all of a sudden it'll show you the black that you see show up.
Mr. Robert, they can't be grabbed.
I can grab them. I got it right.
Is that one on? Just grab yours. Yours is already on, lit up.
There
you go.
I'll just take it over.
Thank you, Mr. Rowell.
Thank you, sir. All right, so as you can tell, these smaller roads, the black roads that you see are the ones that we're gonna be doing. Again, I think what we wanna look at is some of the, I call it the main road going into a subdivision. That would be classified different from these roads back here because, you know, that's gonna have, all the traffic's gonna come on it. So, and then that can even be built off of it. So you could have another subdivision or something coming off of it. So
Maybe.
Good. Yes, sir.
Like South Haven, is it
Okay.
Canterbury, or like the main road into there? I know South Haven's a one-off as far as we're not going to let them build a subdivision like that anymore with only one. But there's only one way in and out of that entire
South
subdivision.
Haven, where's that at?
It's off of Walker South.
Right there before the crossroad.
Yeah, right before you get to Hammock, correct. And there's only one way in there.
So what Robert's saying is that one street would have a different classification
Yes.
than the.
Yeah, so
than
like,
the
I don't know if
spidered
this.
off.
And I
this- that's not
wholeheartedly
it, is
agree.
it?
What?
That's not it, is it?
I
Yeah, that's
can't.
it. No,
I can't really tell.
it's right beside the creek. Where's the crossroad at?
It's like Canterbury and there's
Man, I
Balmoral
ain't got a
and
clue.
Look for Hammock
It'll
Road.
be down
look
here.
for Hammock. It's right before Hammock. So
One
right north of Hammock.
One block before Hammock.
This way? Right up here? So you're talking about here?
Yep.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
There's
So,
only
yeah.
one way in and
Right.
same way out. You can't.
Yeah.
There's
So
no back way.
So yeah, that's a good example of you know, that main road may be classified something different because we want it to last longer. I'm gonna put this back over where it goes.
Is it still working? Those mics come out of the top.
All right, so kind of to carry on kind of the classification, so this particular area, as you can tell around it, there's some room for growth, for development. So one of the key benefits for the street classification, we can get some right-of-way preservation, some resource efficiency like we're talking about, actually some land use optimization. So we can say within our classification, that road has to have, you know, a
X amount of setback.
X amount of setback or even a connection. So you may have to leave, depending on the length of it, we may say every so many feet you have to leave a 60-foot, you know, servitude or whatever you want to call it for connecting properties. So it's, you know, you don't get a bunch of these dead end roads like this because we have those all over the parish right now. I think I've talked to y'all before. We have a place in Watson right now that two neighbors that are back to back, it takes 15 minutes to get from one driveway to the next. Because they have to drive, their backyards connect with a fence. But it takes them 15 minutes to go out of one subdivision, around and back in through the other one subdivision to go from driveway to driveway.
And what you're saying, if we were to require on the development them to leave.
So there is already a requirement in the ordinances for it to be there, but we would, in our drainage criteria, our road criteria, we would say every so many feet. So a block is normally 1,500 foot. I'm not saying that's the number, but we would say if your road is this long,
Right.
then you have to leave, you know, some way to connect to adjoining property. So that's one thing.
Back there? Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
More complaints about that.
Well, I don't, again, to me, it's more about the planning part of it.
But short time in two subdivisions is different.
Well, again, it has to be, help me out, Mr. Ralph, it's gotta be engineering, yeah. Yeah, so it's not like, hey, you gotta do it, it has to make sense for an engineer.
I know what you're getting.
You know what I'm
at.
saying?
You're probably getting into with the HOAs or fighting amongst the connections
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Okay, so regarding that, I'm gonna say it very delicately as I can. This an HOA is basically bounded by that subdivision, by that boundary. They have no jurisdiction on connection across to another subdivision, and they all yell, scream, holler about it. Okay, that Willows is a prime example. I was sitting here for meetings for Willows years ago.
Yep.
Spring Lake was one of them back in the day when Spring Lake, and I forgot the one to the north when they connected in Willow Springs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The way that's designated, that's a straight up civil thing. But we're talking about is public works, public body connections, which that's where we're definitely lacking. But what you're talking about is I think it's more of the HOA people. We connect in this subdivision, we don't connect that subdivision type of deal. Is that where you're leaning, kind of, or
The way it worked out, where they connected right away. And
Again, but again,
Right.
part of the planning process would be, yeah.
right? So in essence, where Robert's getting at is the part of the planning process has to be, if we have an issue where we're going to do a cross connect with another subdivision and say the stretch is 1,500 feet or whatever, we got to make sure that at the beginning that when we have these pre-conferences with the developers and stuff like that, if we're going to do a cross connection, they have got to have a movement of the what they call a movement in the roadway. In other words, don't make a straightaway. Baton Rouge is doing this right now on a lot of their straightaway roads, where they take a roadway and they collapse one side of the road. You have to have a chicane. That's what type of deal. If you would have that type of discussion up front, knowing that those connections are being made, that can be eliminated, that issue with these long straightaways and these connections.
I think that needs to be done no matter what, because we have a lot of neighborhoods, whether they connect to another one or not, that just ends up with a nice long straight. And we always end up with somebody up here wanting to reduce the speed, and then they want to get on the sheriff to come out there and write citations. And they write citations, most of the people live in the community. But if we just put some type of a calming device, and I think we've already worked on that and got some pretty good information in there for future developments.
Right. There's one
that
if y'all
the
happen to-
common devices.
and I'm trying to remember the road name, but it's down Florida. It goes from Florida Boulevard over to Old Hammond Highway, just past
Yeah.
old Brian Harris on the left. It was a
Yeah.
wide road. It was a 2-lane road with partial parking on it. It was a straight, I mean, when I say a straight shot, it had one curve, and I'm talking about it was a sweeping curve. East Baton Rouge came in about 15 years ago, and what they did was they put an island with a nice tree on it and made the road go this way, and made it go to road. What it did is it took that 25 miles per hour, which everybody was using at 45 miles per hour, it made them drive it at 15, 25 miles. It's a movement.
I call it the drag strip view. So if you can see 2 miles,
Yeah,
you're gonna
We need
try
to
to
do-
get there as quick as you can.
that's right.
If I can't see but 1,500 foot up the road, I'm not gonna go as fast.
That's right.
Well,
And this is these common device, which is what you're talking about, like a chicane, a
chicane,
diverting of
anything,
traffic, is they use them the same way in the roundabouts. The roundabout is all set one way, and that's just to get it to slow down a little bit. But it's another good mechanism in not doing speed humps and things of that nature.
Speed
So,
humps creates lawsuits.
Yeah,
Because if someone goes too fast, it's a speed hump to become airborne. Airborne becomes an issue. Going into a roundabout is a prime example. The movement to the curve to the left, to the right, or to the left, depending on how it's coming in. The curve to the left, the correction to the right, going into the roundabout. You naturally have to slow yourself. Part of that also about having the berm in the middle is not only protection if someone straightens out, but it also gets your eye trained to look at the oncoming traffic that's directly to your left and not seeing the traffic across the way from you, and get yourself, because you'll see cars crossing. You know what I'm saying, a roundabout?
Right.
That middle part, you can't see the car directly across a lot of time. That's why the dirt's up that high. It's a safety thing, so you can see them coming to you and not see them coming across. Okay. So
Let's
the
get
same
back
thing-
on track, but basically, that's what we're already working on in the Unified Development Code and all that stuff is to have these common devices. And this is all about the new development, what it's gonna look like after this council has taken over, right? And we got sworn in. We have made massive improvements as well as DPW, because a lot of them come from you, is common devices in a new development. I told Lonnie this the other day. I can't wait to see the next completed development under the standards that we have put in place. And we're still tweaking them and still making them better, but the lots are going to be wider, the offset's going to be better, and I'm just, the common device I think is going to solve a lot of our problems, but it also gives us a solution that we can look at some of these roads that are drag strips like the one y'all are talking about and see if there's a way we can come in there and do some common devices.
So that's going to be part of this.
Right.
Part of the classification, that's the first step of the major street plan.
Right.
So that's when we'll come in and we can actually put some traffic devices within the existing servitude. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to, we don't need, if we can get it, great, but there are some probably aren't used as often, I would say, but they will fit in existing servitude. So, those are some things that, I will have some traffic engineers that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll come in and look through it and tweak it and say, this is going to work for us, or this, because I've told them all, Livingston is very unique in that we are so urbanized in the west and so rural in the east that one size does not fit all.
Right.
So that's one thing we don't want to do moving forward, is try to say, hey, this one thing covers everybody. So that's kind of the spiel I'll give you on that. I wanted to give you more information on the classification. Again, we kind of went through, we haven't finalized what the new classifications may be. I did tell them that I do not want the wording. So like the classifications the state has on, you can see on the legend here,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to try to stay away from anything that may get misconstrued, because I don't want to come in here and tell y'all, hey, this is a, parish major collector, and somebody forgets to hear major. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to try to keep that different. And then you have the current functional system. You have a list of those. So that's kind of where I wanted to go get that information to you. I did want to kind of get with you on, we've kind of got a draft criteria manual. I just started kind of like the outline. Right now we got 11 chapters. I'm looking at 11 chapters with appendices. Some of them are right-of-way and easements. Access management, I don't think that's, a lot of that's, we found that we have some issues where we have driveways right next to bridges. So when I rebuild a bridge, I'm having to make a change to the guardrail because the driveway's in the way. So actually, some of that, intersection design, I actually want to look at doing some ped bike and ADA requirements to put those in some, and then, like we talked about, some traffic control devices, and then we'll get all the way into the construction and acceptance of the roadway. So that'll all be in the criteria manual that ultimately we will put together from this information.
So if I had to ask and you had to answer, to get to a point where you pull up on the screen and they list of roads 1 through 15, different criterias all the way down, and we were able to click on there and say, these are the roads that are in this particular definition, how far along do you think it is before
Probably
we
end of
get
the year.
I
So
wouldn't-
once we develop the criteria,
right?
then we'll start putting existing roads, what criteria they fall in.
Okay.
Now, understand that the criteria we come up with may not fit what an existing road looks like right now.
Right.
Right.
But that means we've just determined that the use of the road, the land use of it, the traffic count, everything fits what this road needs to be. What that gives me the ability to do is go try to find some funding
Right.
to get that road to them.
Right.
Or, if the parish wants to bite that bullet and say, okay, we're gonna make this road that fit like that.
Right.
The main key to me is to get it to the point where when a development comes in and they change this very rural local road that's got 10 cars a day in it, and they're fixed to put 400 lots on it, you just changed the classification of that road. So to me, it's incumbent upon them to help pay to upgrade that road.
I agree.
That's the ultimate goal to get, but you gotta start somewhere.
We gotta have the information
Yeah.
to say why we are asking for these improvements.
Correct.
We can't just arbitrarily go out there just because you're building 400 lots and say, you're gonna have to improve this road. We gotta show why, and that's what I hope everybody takes away from this tonight, is that it's all about future development, but it's
Correct.
also to define the roads that we have now that fall into a criteria. Duff Road, I keep going back to that.
Yeah.
Duff Road is a perfect example. It connects two states. Well, it's a state and parish road now, but it connects two. And there's, I don't even know what the traffic count is. We'd have to look it up. But it's nowhere near wide enough. It has no pedestrian type traffic on it, and it would fit all of that criteria. And once you give it a classification, if the state hasn't already, you give it a classification, it's just not in compliance to what that classification is. But as developments come in down there,
And
That's
again,
a minor collector, according to this.
yeah,
they can help.
Would that be your,
no, that's the
That's the
state.
that's state? Okay.
Yeah, the
That-
state
that
recognizes
list
it.
that's in the state functional system right now.
Yeah, those list of roads that you see there, that's a state. That's what's on that first part of that map, these
Right.
red lines and
Yeah,
the green.
the colored lines, those are all, that's in the functional
Yeah.
system.
Yeah,
The
they're
state
already been identified by
recognizes
the
it.
state. And we're gonna just drill down
So-
further
so-
for
and
our,
so-
for our
so-
parish roads as
Yeah,
well
to
as
let
those
everybody,
roads.
so the problem is under the metropolitan MPOs that we use, we can only use state or federal dollars on roads that are in the functional system. So I can't go get money for a road that's not colored right here.
Yeah.
So not through the state or the Fed. So that's the key, is to try to get everything, you want everything functional.
Yeah.
But, so again, for us to start getting it, like right now, the state said, that's not, they don't know that because we've not provided that information.
Right.
But once we classify it, we have the backup to say, here's the traffic count, here's the commercial, traffic that's in there, here's, a school, here's a hospital, whatever. Once we get that information, we can say, hey, look, it meets the criteria. Because I'm a criteria guy. You either meet it or you don't.
Right. And that's based on going after funding through the state and the federal.
Right.
But let's take it one step further, and a 500 development home comes in on that same street. You'll be able to take this same information and then ask for certain improvements
Right.
based on the criteria of it being under designed already,
Correct.
and you're fixing to put 400 or 500 homes in it, then unless you agree to make these improvements, we basically can't approve your development, is basically what it amounts to.
Yeah.
Because we're putting more problems on an already bad problem.
Well, again, to me, it puts the person, it puts the who's creating the issue. I say putting more traffic on it, paying for it versus the taxpayer.
Right. And I know, is it Foxglove or whichever one it is down Duff Road?
Mm-hmm.
I know they paid to have the improvements at Burgess and Duff with the red light and the turn lanes and all that stuff, which I could not imagine the traffic coming in and out of there if that little bit of thing wasn't done. But there's still a lot. I just use that, but that road's already in the state, and we'll have to go after funding. So
You look at Brown Road.
Does planning department have all this criteria also? Because, I mean, it's gonna fall on them to am I correct for them?
So again,
Once
so
it's in
similar
there.
to the drainage criteria manual that we developed for floodplain, that's kind of how I envision doing this the same way, just a little different. So we're gonna get a draft together. I already talked to planning and review engineer and everybody. You know, we'll do the same thing. We'll go chapter by chapter. Hey, here's the proposal. How does everybody feel? I even want to get some of the municipalities involved, some of the mayors down south, because they do follow our guidelines. You know, we want to be inclusive, but at the end of the day, we got to make something work parish wide.
Right.
So
Mr. Lonnie, ideally, once all the drainage plans that we just talked about, this transportation plan, but as a general broad stroke, all these that we've been working on ultimately gets into the hands of planning, and it's up to them at that stage to enforce, and I'm using the term enforce, it's a strong word, but enforce these standards with new developments coming in for connectivity for roadways, connectivity for utilities, connectivity for any parish or public type of thing. At the end of the day, your planning department is the tip of the spear on everything that goes on from this point forward. It even follows to the point where there should be, once all this gets in place, they should be, and this is my personal opinion on this, should be part of the planning process of the parish. But it's up to like Robert's department to help put the drainage and the road program together so they can have a guideline to go off of and help build that model as you go forward. Or just like with the drainage with FEMA, getting the rates down with FEMA and stuff like that. Your planning department needs to be the tip of the spear, but they have to have the meat to be able to be the spear.
So just equal it, like the full 500,000, that automatically, that needs to be an island if the road is over a certain way.
Well, so the
There's
problem-
no traffic, I mean, they need to know that too.
well, the problem
Right,
we have
right.
now is we don't have that meat in our ordinances.
That's correct.
So that's what we're saying. That's what we want to go. We want to do I'm gonna say a deep dive. You know, basically, I'll say it this way: what do we want this parish road system to look like in 20 years? Because that's what we're doing right now.
And see, what would that also do is, in those instances, and it happens in Baton Rouge, it happens in other places where we have zoning now, is that you get this 500 lot development, acre development in, and still doing a T&D, a traditional neighborhood, we just put lots in there. Now they're having to look at different scenarios where they're doing some type of PUD or some type of SPUD or something that's going to be a better, what I consider a better development than just houses inside that subdivision. It's got to be multi type of unit, if you want to call it that, to be able to build the infrastructure for what they're doing. And if you look on the other side, the business side of it, for them, it's got to be functional, and because I mean they're putting the money up to build all this, help make the improvements and all this, they got to have returns. So it's just not going to be a lot type of subdivision. It's going to be something that's mixed, something that's going to be done, and you would have those overlay districts y'all have talked about before for this development area and this type of thing. And that, so it builds on itself once you get the meat put into the system for planning to back up and say, wait a minute, you're going to do this. This is what you're going to do. The developer, engineer looks at it and go, wait a minute, we can't make this work with this. Let's look at this. Get a better scenario. You get a better product. If you want to look at that. So that's been my case over the years.
And Mr. Ralph made a good point. I want to make sure. I said we need to look at it what fits within the parish. There's nothing that says we can't do an overlay district. You know, south of the interstate, you have to do this. North of the interstate, you have to do that. So you can have an overlay where you only allow certain things. Again, do we want to go put any more, you know, like he's talking about these little rows of houses, subdivisions south of Denham, or do we want the more the traditional neighborhood, the T&D type developments to be in that area? So we can require that through your planning and to the UDC. But again, they're going to all fall back to this, the drainage criteria manual. They have to have something to fall back and say, okay, you can use these type of roads in here, but you can't use them in this other type. Does that make sense? That's what we're trying to make sure, more of a, think of it as a town planning on a parish-wide
Yeah,
basis.
it's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about capacity, the acres, and vehicles, right? So these things have to marry together, but they have to navigate within themselves, moving around, just like the water situation. When it rains, it affects everybody, and we ought to navigate it out. And that's what this is going to do. Hopefully, it'll allow us the ability to be forward-thinking and be planning, further out in the future instead of just letting things just, yeah. And before zoning, et cetera, and we are where we are today, and we need better planning. And the infrastructure in this parish, from my standpoint, I think we're headed in a great direction, but our traffic in this parish has got to be looked at, and that was the nuts and bolts of this infrastructure meeting being formed. But we're not going to settle with that, just like we discussed the sewer side of it, anything that's infrastructure. But from my standpoint, I think the council standpoint and the parish president is, we got to get a handle on the traffic. And we're way behind the curve. So that was one of the catalysts of the $60 million, $80 million, and $60 million on the ground, is to really get it caught up. Not to mention the cost of material going up every year, but it allows us to get caught up a little bit, just a little bit.
Some of the things that we're
we need
doing
more
a little
capacity.
different is the preservation part.
Yeah.
So not only are we doing, we're actually, you were talking about those older roads.
Yeah.
We're trying to catch those before they start that nosedive and start really deteriorating. There are a bunch of treatment processes that we can do, that we can preserve it and make that roadway last longer.
Right.
So that's ultimately going to be part of the maintenance plan once we kind of get into it. And
Well, we know where to spend our dollars
Yeah,
at. We
so-
know that this road has this much traffic and it fits in it. Because of a click of a mouse, we can take all collectors or all these and all that, and we really can focus our money where we're going to affect the most people in their daily transit in and out. But then, like I said before, I'd rather be able to take a certain amount and start like preservation and go from bottom up to make sure we don't never get to the bottom of the list, because we only have so much money, But the other part of that is, and we're going to get into it with Mr. Ralph here in just a little bit, is we need more capacity on moving mass amounts of cars. We need to do what we're doing here and getting our criteria on our roads, but the other part of that infrastructure is trying to figure out how we're going to grow, and we have this river, that's bordering us, and how we're going to navigate that. And I think we got some good solutions to that, but so another year, huh?
In my area, when there was I-12 was shut down because of the car that drove the wrong way in the interstate and had to hit the RV and the fatal accident there. They were routing traffic. I guess state police were routing traffic to exit it at Coyel and Satsuma. Well, they went south and then tried to go to Hood Road, but at that time there was raining. It had water was high, so parts of Hood Road gets water on it. Other vehicles tried to continue south to get to 22, and trucks can hang up by the Baptist church there. So that's a problem. Even if we could repave every road, that doesn't alleviate the capacity. Yeah. If anything, it just speeds them up. So that's the next big part of this.
So the people listening are probably totally confused in general. So if y'all could just recap like where we're at on this part here. That's what I was saying before. You saying it's going to be about a year before we have all of these things done, and we get a definition.
I said by
of Christ.
the end of the year.
Oh, by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that sounds
goal,
better.
My goal is to get the classifications done in the next 30 to 45 days.
Okay,
Once we get the classifications done and we all say, hey, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna use these, then we'll start classifying existing roads.
gotcha.
So again, none of this goes
Okay.
into effect until the council approves it at the end, once we develop it.
That's right, and that's what we're
I
doing. We're
could
just
start-
trying to
we
put
could
some
start doing
pieces
Some of
together.
the other parts of it, you
Right.
know, I mean, I'm gonna tell you this, to classify 3,500 roads, it's gonna take a little bit.
Yeah,
But we're gonna get there.
but we can change them if we need to.
Well, the good thing is what Robert showed a while ago. He has I don't call it MPO, but
Yeah.
the base classification to start off with, which is a big step already.
Yeah.
And it's just getting the classifications geared to what we need to have as
Right.
Livingston Parish and Dennis ID. And so, I mean, timeframe he's talking about is probably an ideal timeframe, I'm thinking. But, you know, the good thing is you already have the heavy lift to have a basis to build off.
Yeah,
So-
I'm happy to hear that I misunderstood you. I apologize, because I thought you said it was gonna be a year.
Oh, no,
And
I don't
so
have that much patience.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Like, we need this information so we can, we can start really focusing on,
I'm hoping to have the criteria manual complete before spring of next year.
Okay.
Totally. The council adopted.
right,
It's already, the wording is already in the UDC that y'all have.
correct.
I made sure the wording is in there, so as soon as we create the criteria manual, the wording's already in the UDC to follow the criteria manual.
Right. And the same thing applied with the drainage.
Correct.
is We're basically taking the same steps that we did with the drainage side of it and gathering all the information and putting it in this
So
manual.
we'll
and then the
have, hey,
UDC
here's
will
what we
reference.
we have
Yeah.
right now, that's the criteria manual basic.
Yeah,
But once we kind of do all this, hash it out,
right,
kind of come up, I mean, it's a part of it's gonna be the future corridors like we talked about.
yeah,
You know, again, what criteria is gonna require a future corridor?
right,
And again, I think that has to ultimately go back to planning and back to the master plan committee. Because it has to be included, a future corridor. Depending on how we word it, has to go back to the plan, the master plan of the parish to be included in that. Something, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're gonna do a corridor and you're gonna designate a corridor area for improvement
mhm,
and to get ahead of the game, it's good to go and get that corridor ID'd, approved through the planning process, land development process. And you've identified this, and it could be, just like they do the studies,
Yeah.
you could put a 500-foot, 1,000-foot wide swath. It's gonna be in this area.
right,
And you've identified that corridor as, and then what happens is, lack of a better term, it tightens the development down in that area. So if someone wants to, they can go and plan development out to come to that, which helps with the capacity count and everything. Because right now, like anything extension we're doing, we're based on existing capacity. But if we're touching a 500-acre piece of property and there is potential there, and you put this corridor down, it's going to raise a flag to whoever's looking at that, and they're going to bring something to planning, even if it's just a sketch.
right.
And at that point, if we're in design, not design, or whatever, based on the requirements and everything, we can start accounting for that additional part right then. Again, planning being the tip of the spear.
But we got to give them the information, and that's what this is all about, is give them that. But I guess what we'll do along that to work through that process is we probably need to go ahead and identify, which we've already done a lot of work, I'm shifting gears a little bit, and that is the capacity improvements going 449 to Black Mud Road to have a little bit better access to the interstate, 449 to Black Mud,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
as new capacity.
I'm thinking something different.
Yep. And then also the RW Expressway going north. So we probably need to go ahead and take that information and identify that corridor to where if anything does happen,
I
or
think,
come
and
up.
again, I think we've identified multiple places. I mean, I've said
but
it
this
before.
is when it's going to be active.
Yeah, it's
So the
yeah.
planning needs to be aware of it, saying this is the
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
the direction, So if anything comes to you in this section,
Right. So to kind of expand, I think I know where Robert was going with this. Yeah, we know those two for sure. But we've also kind of already ID'd some areas of other connectors and everything for capacity, which would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, would be a good idea if you are going to move that step, is going to identify, again, you can make, it's a concept swath,
right?
okay? Make those identify, I mean, if it happens 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 16,
Yeah.
10 years from
Oh,
now,
I don't
you've
disagree.
identified.
I'm saying those
Right.
can be part of your process.
Right. correct.
These two here, we
That
go
would be
ahead and
part of that.
identify
Yeah,
them
that'd be part
now.
of that major street plan.
Yeah, that we
Once we
identify.
get this and we go to that major street plan,
Right.
it's gonna basically be every councilman looking at their district, we're gonna say, hey, here's our recommendation.
Yeah.
They may have some for us to add to it. Again, basically you're highlighting an area of a map. That's it.
That's right.
You're just gonna say, again, what it does for you is it lets planning, when somebody comes in and says, hey, I wanna go build a 9-lot development right here. You say, well, no, that's a future roundabout we're gonna put right, that we have there, so you gotta set back more. Or
Right.
whatever, you see what I'm saying? That's what it helps you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm really looking forward to
Yeah.
the creating, once we create and identify all these roads, then we can go in there and look at which ones need to have certain setbacks on them.
Right.
So we can go after more funding to try
Again,
to
I
widen
can
them.
tell you this. In all the projects I've done, 4 years of public works,
Mhm.
what drives you the nuts the most is when you got a structure too close to the future right of way, and you got to end up buying them out for an ungodly amount of money
Right.
to get 5 foot of property.
Yeah.
And again, if we can, we're not trying to take anybody's property without paying them. We're just saying, don't build it that 5 foot towards the road. If you set it back a little bit farther, I won't even touch it whenever I come through.
That's right.
In
And
20 years.
it's good for everybody. And then they don't have to move.
Right.
We don't have to go through all that process, cost-wise and.
And again, I think that's some of what you're going to find in our classifications. Our recommendation is going to be a different setback for a different classification.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at, it may be this today, but if it's going to be a major roadway, we may have to take it to 3 lanes with a control lane in the middle.
Right.
So that setback may be a little bit farther. So, but again, we'll have all
But
those
that's going to be
conversations.
that's already going to be a massive capacity
Yeah.
road at that point.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is a road that's going through there. I mean, what is the normal? Is it 60 foot?
60 foot. 60
is the normal
foot
right
is
of
a
way?
two-lane road, 10, 11 foot lanes, 5 foot shoulders with a good I mean, that's 60 foot is probably the smallest.
Forested lat, is it 60 or 80 foot?
Forest lat is 40 foot.
I'm talking about the right of way.
Well,
40
that's
feet.
what,
Is it really?
It's existing 40 feet. So you have a
Wow. It's
minor
squeezed in there.
collector.
you may answer
I know
that.
it's squeezed in
Yeah,
there.
You go ahead.
It's much better.
Okay.
And it's much more drivable, but
So-
man, it is squeezed in there.
Just to keep some in back of your minds, a lot of the parish roads that we have currently, some of them barely even have 30 feet.
Yeah.
Right.
Some
Right.
of them have 50 feet. I dare say there's some of them that technically you don't even have right of way. You just have
Tacit.
you've created your own servitude across it.
Right.
Okay. So by setting this standard as we go through and do updates to roads, this will be eventually one day some type of acquisition project also
Mm-hmm.
to get a roadway into a standard right of way also. When just update, if you got to update the ditch, update the road, that type deal, go from a 10-foot lane to a standard 12-foot lane so you can get a better safety rating and all that. That's going to widen your road no matter what. At that point in time, that's where you're going to run into issues widening it because we don't, some other parish roads we have do not have a standard 50-foot, 60-foot roadway. I want to make
Because
everybody
of
aware of
years.
that.
Because of years.
Correct.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve that problem, not only for the future, but for all these way out of compliance roads that we have already in the books. And if we can put that little road through there that should be 60 foot and it's only 30, and then we can put a setback of 5 foot off of that. So if there's 10 houses there now, but by the time we get to widening that, there's 30, those 30 or those 20 additional ones are not going to be in the right of way. but the 10 that are there may or may not be.
Or the
depending on where-
setback they may have to have a waiver for their setback.
Right.
You
Some
know,
of the things we've done in the past
All
with the parish and developments is when we have identified that the road right-of-way is like 40 feet. Some things we have, and I'll call it negotiate, but work through with the parish is we wind up looking at it and dedicating a strip basically to the parish for future road widening and then the setback
Yeah.
for the building. Because that way, when the parish decides to finally come through there, it's already set that the parish is going to get this much property out of this lot, and it's very clear, it's very concise. There's a lot of plats that's like that already inside the parish for subdivisions and different, like little resubs even. We've even done in little resubs. We find out that there's no technical right-of-way there. I know myself in the past, I found that the title work, everything goes to the center, to the quote-unquote center on the road.
Right.
And what we do is we say, I can't speak for all surveyors, I can't speak for everybody, but we show in the parent right-of-way where it sits today, which would be a 50 or 40 or 60, depending on what road it is. And we call it the acreage that's there. So if the parish ever comes through, you have it on a plat, it's ready to
Right.
take it in and be done with it,
Gotcha.
type of deal. So that's things that, again, the planning is the tip of the spear of that.
So what do you feel is your next step? Because most of this process is going to be on your shoulders with the criteria and all that stuff until you get us a draft, that you're comfortable with, that we can start digesting and then move on to the council. So what do you
So
think?
again, I think we're looking at 60 to 90 days to get a first draft.
Okay.
I think that y'all could actually look at and say, I don't like this, throw it in the garbage can, start over, or whatever. Like I said, I've got basically I've got a good outline, I think. A lot of what we're going to do is we already have in our code, we go by DOTD standard bridge and road. That's our standard. The only thing this criteria, this manual is going to do is any deviation. So a lot of the stuff that we have in there, it may just be, that section may be referencing whatever section of the DOTD standard book is. It's just going to be like, again, I think they do a quarter mile from intersection. So they want, like the state wants you have to contact the state if you're going to make any access, even on a parish road. It's within a quarter mile or something. Yeah. So again, so that's what the state requires. We may want to look at that and say, no, we don't want it to be a quarter mile. We want it to be an eighth of a mile. And we don't want that extra intersection to another subdivision with this intersection. You know what I'm saying? So, the criteria man is just going to be any deviations from, or maybe if we want to make it more strict than the state. That's all the criteria man. But otherwise, it's going to follow DOTD standard. So, that's going to make it go real quick.
All right, so we're going to be having infrastructure meetings monthly now.
Yes, sir.
So we would just expect updates each month.
Okay.
And then on that second to third month, we get a draft, even if it's a basic draft.
And I'm planning to
then
bring
maybe
some
a
of the
final
consultants in on those meetings to kind of answer questions or kind of like, hey, here's where our head was when we did this.
Right.
Like I say, the one thing I'm really excited about, because I feel like the groups I have, I'm using, each of them have their strengths, and I'm using those strengths. So I think with the knowledge and expertise and experience that I put together, I don't see any other criteria manual coming out any better.
So the only thing that I would ask once we get moving forward, I love the fact that we're not going to be spending millions, like a $5 million traffic plan, and then feel like we're not getting what we paid for. I love the fact that we have so much more in-depth detail personally on the ground of what we're trying to develop here, and then we can go. My biggest concern, I don't know if Ralph can answer this, is once we get this criteria manual done, the traffic counts, we can hire somebody to just do a traffic count
I've
parish-wide.
already got that started.
Okay, that's great. So, because what I understand, what I've totally been led all this time, is that the only way we can assess impact fees, i.e., this is our corridor, it's 30 foot, it should be 60 foot, we need to do improvements, Mr. Developer, you're coming in, you're going to put 500 homes, this is the improvements that we need done, and your impact fee to make these improvements is going to go to those improvements. In other words, if we establish impact fees of however much per lot or per acre, we have to have the traffic counts and this information before we can even assess that fee. As I
Don't know that
understand
we have
legally,
to have traffic counts. We have to have that criteria set.
showing why we need to spend this money.
This road is this criteria because of X.
Right. And all I want to
'Cause-
be able
'cause
to
I
do
tell
is
you
to
right now,
have the impact fees.
Nobody's
on-
going to have a traffic count on every road.
Right.
So you're just gonna have to go by the closest DOTD one, or we're looking at right now figuring out how do we use all these developers that are doing traffic impact studies now that they're turning in. We're trying to figure out how to put that information on our GIS
Gotcha.
so that we can utilize that same information for the next guy or for
So
that
the basic
criteria.
information is we will have a criteria, whether it's traffic count surrounding, but also identifying this
Correct.
particular corridor needing improvements. And if you're going to develop, I can assess you a fee based on that geographical area.
Right, so the traffic count part, where you probably heard this play into, is the traffic count part is gonna give you, the design criteria is gonna be there for that road, right?
Mhm.
But that traffic count is gonna say, this is gonna support that design criteria. It's a collector, it says, currently, it's at max capacity, we can't do nothing until, it gives you the basis outside of design.
Yes.
If someone comes back and says, well, your design thing, but we think it's this, well, I have a traffic count on this road that says we're beyond max capacity, and this is why we have, it gives you a basis of why this is done.
So with this criteria, worst case scenario, we just go out and do a traffic count for that particular
Or you make him to do
issue.
it.
Yeah, you make
that
him-
particular
Because here's
issue.
what I
and
say it is, you gotta prove me wrong.
That's right. I
So,
got you.
the one thing, Robert, just maybe refresh my memory, do we also take into consideration on these traffic counts, the movements at the intersections?
Not necessarily.
We
So
do not. That's something that needs to be looked at also.
So the RFQ that MPO's doing.
Right,
So I've selected all intersections.
okay.
So on state roads,
Right.
on some major roads like Bull Run.
Your big
Um,
connectors.
Yeah, I kind of those, but like I'm gonna say most of that's gonna have to come from either a traffic study we pay for, or we get a developer to pay for.
And that's what I keep coming back to, because as I understand, if we assess impact fees on a development, I'm gonna go back to Duff Road again. We have a 400 lot subdivision there. We assess them a impact fee of whatever.
Right.
Well, those fees, I can't take those fees and go down to Marpaw and do improvements, because they are designed. I'm just telling you, this is what I need to
So-
make sure they are
so
designed
what
to
you
fix
would-
problems right there.
Yeah, it's based on how you set it up. If we set the fund up parish-wide, you're just paying into the parish functional system. Now, if you select and say, in this,
Area.
what is what do you call it? The
Overlay or the.
overlay. You can say, in this overlay area, any money I collect can only be spent there. You can do it that way. It's how you set that fund up.
Yeah. They if I'm not mistaken, these did have district.
Yeah.
So they had a They had like 6 or
And,
7
and I
districts.
would recommend us do, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, the urban side of the parish needs to be different than the rural side of the parish.
Yeah, but still, I don't want a 400 development and then improvements supposed to be done, then they don't get done. And they just go in a pool of money. Those funds need to be spent there, and that's another one of those things that I would like for us to when we get into this, in lieu of impact fees, that they do the physical improvements
I'm gonna
themselves.
let you and Mickey fight that one out.
Okay.
So let me explain why I asked Robert about the move, okay?
Mhm.
Because this goes to, you could be at max capacity for a road, but you can do, you like point out Duff Road. That's prime example one. They put a light there for traffic to move out. They also put a turn lane on Purchase Avenue because they justified there was so many movements that would be going into and out of Duff Road. If you do a straight traffic study, it's just going to tell you what's on that road for that capacity. If you do it with a movement, it's going to say, how many movements am I right turning out? How many movements am I left turning out? How many movements are going straight forward? So sometimes a movement, just by changing the style of movement you have there, moves the capacity of the road. So you're squeezing out the last little juice of whatever that road could handle, and you now say, okay, at this capacity, and hypothetically, a light with a turn lane, a left turn lane, right turn lane, this is going to actually become now an impact zone. It's going to be better to put a roundabout there.
It's no different than the interstate at Walker.
Correct.
When they had all the congestion, it was backing up on the interstate, they
Correct.
dropped 2 roundabouts, and it's allowed the movement
Correct.
to be a lot.
You're able to move the
Better.
capacity through
Yeah, I
and
got you.
squeeze that last dropout. Whereas you still earmarking that road to be improved,
Right.
but you're fixing what you can fix
Right now. Yes. I just want to make sure that when we talk about this thing, that we keep that part in mind, because that's my
The first
future
step,
direction
the
is.
first step is coming up with the criteria.
That's right. We come up with a criteria, we get that
Classification.
done, but,
So get the classifications. We'll start putting the criteria with coming up with a major street plan. Once we get the major street plan, and that's when you start building your master plan, I guess you would call it.
right,
And that's where you start putting those things in.
okay. All right. All right. We talk a lot of gibberish. I know a lot of us that live it every day, it's not really gibberish, but I know the public knows it's gibberish to them. But the most important thing is that we're doing something about it for the future and trying to fix as many problems. What does what's his name always say? Like old problems with that. It's on the master plan thing anyway. So we're trying to solve and get those in a position to where anything changes, we can bring them up to speed. All right, so that's A, and that covers C as well, or
No, that was the A.
A? Okay, let's go with B.
All right, B, you have a copy of section 254 of the ordinance code, and that is in reference to the bond surety for roads and drainage. In doing some research and some things that are coming up right now, the last time that this was updated was 2013. It originally was adopted in 83, so some of it's still from 83. So, I would like to just wipe this out and start with something different. The problem is that section 254 is referenced in the UDC 7 times, and it's referenced in the Code of Ordinances multiple times. So to get rid of it is going to take some work. To re-engineer it, rethink it. So I figured the best thing I could do is come up with some numbers that better fit within what our goal is. So my recommendation on this, and this again, this is a lot of this has to do with permits for pipelines It uses this code. You have some of the subdivision ordinances, the development reference this code. You have utilities, the utility installation that references this as their permit inspection fee. So we want to kind of bring it up. It says 150,000 a mile. I can't touch a road for 150,000 a mile. So, again, we would want to get a bond, and that's what is required, is a bond of 250,000 is what we'd like to set it at. And that's just for a bond. If a pipeline company, utility company, developer, whatever, just raise that up to get it more realistically.
Right.
And then also at the bottom, the annual bond that is required of utilities, private utility companies. They had it as 5,000. Again, I can't tell you how many parish roads that we have to end up fixing because the utility company goes in there and they unload their machine, or they bust a water line and don't tell nobody, and we ride down there and half the road's dug up. So we would request that annual bond for utility facilities and private utilities be raised to $25,000 a year. And that, I think that's a good start. That kind of gets us more realistic of what's needed.
Well, this is something that we definitely need to have in the ordinance committee. We could do this right away. We need to get the UDC passed first, right?
Well, now this actually doesn't fall within UDC.
But it's just mentioned 7 times.
Yeah, in other words, so they all reference section 254. That's why I'm bringing it up. I'm with you. I don't want to touch the UDC right now until it's adopted. But this falls outside of the UDC.
All right.
We just need to change the numbers.
Just change the numbers.
Let's,
So I figured this is the best place to bring it since it is infrastructure related.
Right.
yeah,
Have at least hash out, kind of talk it out. Again, I don't like the
Do
way
you
this.
want to change the words, the ones that it's referencing?
Yeah, right now, just change the 2 that are red. Now, if y'all can follow along and try to figure out some of this, the way they have it broken, because I have no idea why they broke it down. So the permit and inspection fee is, the way it's broken down is $500 for the first mile if it's less than 8 inches, $5,000 a mile if it's over 8 inches. And then you have different
Did you
amounts
look
for
at
the
other-
next 4, you know what I'm saying? So I would like to let's start talking about it. I think in the infrastructure committee, I think it's a great place to kind of hash out.
did you look at other parishes, like what their fee structure is?
Yes, sir. That's in the next section we're going to talk about.
Because that would be, to see if they do it.
And so if you look at the chapter 58, it should at the top right say edited.
Yep.
I've actually gone in and through there and
Nice.
made some recommended changes. And this includes a lot of different things, but if you go to the back, let's see, page. Yeah, page 15.
Yeah,
Okay, so
that's pipelines, yeah.
well, so it goes into utilities. That same. So that's right now what's struck through is what's existing. What's red is what we're recommending.
Gotcha.
Again, this is just the first time. I'm not asking this to go to ordinance committee. I'd rather talk this out, let you guys kind of, digest this, see what y'all think about it. Because we have to do some work in the back to make sure it all fits. But this is basically what Ascension does. So
I don't have no problem with that. If nobody else has any problem with that, we take this draft and we look it over and we bring it back to the infrastructure committee, and then we talk about it, figure it out, see if there's any pros, cons, whatever. And then once we get a document that we're pretty comfortable with, that is comfortable with you, comfortable with us, then we can forward it from here to the ordinance committee with a lot cleaner version.
Yeah, because again, I
And
think
then hopefully that would be
I'm
not,
okay with that. We need to
That's fine.
run it by council. Like, I'd like to have Clay Parker take a look at it as well
Yeah.
as our other.
yeah, again, I mean, that's what I'm saying is I think I want to get this to you guys. I mean,
you can make a
and
copy
everything I'm
of
trying
that
to do.
and let him start looking now.
Yeah.
I want to, I want to be. To me, it's better to have more eyes on it.
Right.
Shoot holes in it. Tell me what doesn't look good, and then I can say, well, look, we really got to have that. I mean, there's actually a section in here that allows for trenching and open cutting parish roads.
Yeah.
Well, guess what's fixing to get eliminated?
Right.
So one of the things,
Yeah, that's for a long time. Again, but we got to take it a little bit at a time.
yeah. So it sounds like we're trying to beat up our contractor, say 5,000 to 25,000, but what it does, it allows that guy to show up, drop his equipment, get started, mess it all up, and leave, and just be willing to call it good on the bond because it's only $5,000. The same thing happens with the roads. They can go in, they can build the roads in a development, whatever it is, and then their bond is $150, and like Robert said, you can't build it for that. And it's after they get finished, and then okay, there is a problem with base, then they're like, just call the bond in. Because it's cheaper for them to call the bond in than it is to go out there and try to fix it.
That's happened to us on several subdivisions so far.
It has.
Yeah.
So if we raise that bond up, then they have to put more skin in the
But-
game, and then
So the good thing
it'll
about
help.
that is
It'll at least
when-
give us the money to fix it.
Yeah, when you call a bond, depending on how much that bond is, that's going to change their bonding capacity
Right.
on future projects.
But it'll give us the money to fix it.
Yeah,
If the most contractors are not going to do that, but there is sometimes that it happens. And if they walk away and it's 150 and we can't fix the problem, they just get a little ding on their bond thing, and we got to go out there and spend 200,000, and we're 50 in the hole just to get the problem solved. So
and again, and part of this, when you read through it, you'll see part of it is the changes would be for requirements for them for notification.
right,
Right
Yes.
now, we don't have that.
I would say 100% with that because
for sure.
you remember with Joe May. I mean, I had
Yeah.
the people that I represent. Like, what are these flags for?
Nobody had a clue.
And nobody knew, and they were required to identify with your office and let the people know what they're doing. They're in the parish right away, and they put flags up and door hangers, but it never identified the company. Just said utility work, and people didn't know if it was the parish or if it was,
So yeah,
the
again,
gas.
so those are in there, and we can make it more strict. One of the things I found was funny was the pipelines are required to notify us 10 days before they start. I want to know way before 10 days before you start.
Yeah.
So, those are some of the, and then some of the footages, the depths were different, like from one paragraph to the next. So,
All right, so we're going to take this
Okay.
as our homework. look it
that's
over.
just,
Yeah.
I wanted to get that to you
And,
guys, and
Robert, quick
let's start talking
question.
about it.
You talking utilities and pipeline. I know some years back there was talk about putting a permit process together like state does, so y'all know
So
well
they-
in advance. Did that ever get put in place?
Nope. Again, there's a permit requirement,
Mhm.
but all it says is you gotta send 6 copies 10 days before.
Yeah.
It's like, back in the 70s, 80s, they put that in.
This was back in 2017,
Yeah,
2018.
so-
That was talk
so-
of trying to make a database.
Yeah, so that, again, we wanna get that process, and again, I think in the same way, the deal that we have with Homeland Security with their emergency operation plan, and they have to get a permit, I want to ultimately kind of encompass that all together. I've already talked to Chris.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't understand why
Yeah,
it goes through him. It needs to go through permits because that's a permit.
right. So
You
this,
know,
we'll
we need
put
to have-
all that and fix it.
Yeah, we need to have preliminary meetings and pre-con meetings on pipelines and utilities, just like we do developments.
Right.
So,
All right.
I'm
I
done.
want to get
Can I
Ralph a copy of that. Maybe he can,
Who's that?
maybe get Ralph a copy of this. Maybe he can weigh in on that for us as well. All right, we're gonna move right along. We're kind of running, Burgess Road Expressway, RW Burgess Expressway. So I think where I'm at on all of this, we gathered the information that you gave to us. I would like for us to go ahead and move forward with identifying the right of way, or identifying what we're going to do for the planning and the master plan people to see it, understand it, adopt it, or whatever they got to do, that piece. And then I would also like to, if this committee could send it to the council. I don't know that we got to, but I want to just move it to the next step. And that is, given the authorization to expense the funds, but I want the council to understand exactly what are we fixing to do, as far as we're going to start the project for 449 south to Black Mud Road, and then we're going to start the process of Burgess Road from the new bridge that hopefully will be open in 2 weeks. I hope.
I've been getting phone calls at
An
home.
expressway and going north, so everybody understands the path, what it looks like, and kind of a 5-year budget. What we projected to be in, each year.
And I know it's down in the bottom of everybody's emails. You can just resend all that data back to you guys, so it's at the top of your list.
I mean, I have mine, but I guess it wouldn't hurt.
That way, I know Robert probably get 5,000 emails too, so I can pull it back
Okay.
together and just resend.
You
so it's
send
at
me
the
an
top.
email?
Yeah, and I can send that on to the. So I'll meet with Mr. Mickey and let him know, and from a
Okay.
budgetary standpoint, so we have it on the radar. I just want everybody to get on the same page with that documentation,
Right.
and then it come to the council. I want Mr. Mickey to be on board, I want you to be on board, everybody to be on board with like a 5-year budget, if you will, on both projects. And my personal project, it would be 449 if I had to pick one before the other one from a budgeting standpoint.
Right.
But we need to move it forward so
Yeah.
we can try to help our capacity problems.
Yeah, so just so you know, the group is we're waiting on you guys to work order us to get moving forward on it. Some things have changed in the past couple months. So maybe you've seen what's on my shirt right now.
Yeah.
The company I work for, SJB, was bought out by the largest surveying firm in the United States. And we have a lot more of depth now than what I was able to supply before. So we can move the project a lot more rapidly now if we need to.
So what I would like to do is, like I said, is to take that information and then put it on the next, on a council agenda. But I don't know how many of y'all have looked at that. But if you would just send it, I'm gonna put it on the next infrastructure meeting.
Yeah, I'll pull everything back up and I'll resend it. And I'll resend it to Mr. Lonnie and
Yeah.
Mr. John also.
And then
direct to.
Aaron. And basically, at the next infrastructure committee meeting, we would ask, or I would be asking that we take the information that he's sending to us with a 5-year budget, if you will, and that we move it on toward the council to approve the concept and the budgeting part of it, and then I'll have Mr. Mickey give it his blessing as well and see if he has any problems with it. Do y'all remember seeing? Probably not. The email?
That was back in
It's been
February.
a while.
Yeah, it had to.
It's been a little bit. So just
Yeah.
resend it.
Please.
Yeah, it's no problem. I'll resend because just kind of recap what Mr. Ricky asked me to do. I had originally put the full scope together, everything, budgeted it out, the whole 9 yards to take care of the project from beginning concept to final built plans, from 4-lane to build only 2-lane type of deal. The initial concept was to show y'all plans for what they call a 30% preliminary. Show y'all full build out capabilities and then back it off to the 2-lane for each one of them so we can get the roadway in.
Yeah.
And then I was asked to break it out over the 3 or 5 year period for budgetary purposes. That's what it is. I broke it down. So the budgetary purposes, so y'all can understand how that will fall out over the next 3 to 5 years. If y'all go 3 years or go 5 years with the projects of what the cost would be to get into construction, what the estimated construction cost assigned.
Just doing a 2-lane road. And we need to check that email, make sure that the 2-lane is separated out of there, because that's
It
gonna be
is.
the budgeting number we're gonna work off of, not that other bigger number for a 4 or 5,
Yeah, that's
That
correct.
lane expressway.
It was separated out after the 30%,
Yeah.
what that cost was for the two, just to do the 2-lane. But the 30% was so y'all would have a basis of plans to later on pick up the other 2 lanes for future use.
So let's do this, if you don't mind. If
Sure.
you would, send it to everybody, include Mr. Mickey,
Okay,
and then you coordinate with Mr. Mickey a time frame that the 3 of us can sit down and go over that email and make sure from a budgeting standpoint, he understands where we're at. Because it does get a little confusing.
it gets a
but-
little confusing at the front part of it because of
Right.
how we were structuring it.
Yeah,
But once you get past the 30%, it's very clear.
it's clear. Yeah.
Clear as
I
a
just want to
bell.
make sure he has any questions that he comes up with, we can work through, because he's the one doing the budget every year.
Right.
And would have to include that in there.
And just for clarification, why we went with the show the full quote unquote full build out at the 30%, it's also to help you for future purposes if you're able to appropriate funds through the state, through feds, through any other means, you have a hard copy of something that is at a phase that you have, hey, I got equity in this, can I get some extra money with it?
So we're designing it for the full 4-lane, but then we're like, okay, we can't afford
You
that.
can't afford it.
We don't want to spend that much money. So let's go ahead and just put a 2-lane parish road up through there. And then as we go through there, we will try to acquire the right-of-way for the full width.
Yeah.
And then once we get to Arnold Road, with this express lane going through the power lines, once we get to Arnold Road, it's not my desire whatsoever to make it a parish road. It's, at that point, we get to Arnold Road, we can move traffic, back to Jubin Road a lot faster. But at that point, we would go after any kind of MPO funds, any other funds that we have out there, capital outlay funds, et cetera, to widen that section and to continue it further north. Because so at the end of the day, what this is going to do is going to give us a major corridor through the middle of our highest population area, and it'll go up to Arnold, then it'll go to K Market, then it'll go to Springfield, and then it could go on up to 63.
on into 1023.
Yeah.
Up there around Carroll.
So all of
So
these
just
arteries that are coming in that are right now are using either 449 down or mainly Walker and Dillon Springs. They'll be able to kind of come into the middle, and it'll be a minimum access boulevard, and it's really strictly designed to help Dillon Springs and Walker and the people that's living north. At some point, another thing
Minimum access.
restricted access.
restricted access, yeah.
C of A, control of access is what.
So the other thing that I'd like to do is have Miss Valerie Hodges to come and give us an update on Hooper Road Extension Bridge north of Watson. I think those 3 projects are very crucial to this parish's future and being forward thinking and getting people through, because we know they're going to do whatever they got to do on I-12, and we know they're going to do some improvements on Magnolia Beach. Probably they can't not. They got to.
That's actually going to let in the next.
Well, the roundabout's there, but I'm talking about
Oh, you
like
talking? Yeah. Okay.
capacity going across the bridge and diversing over there. But I think the Hooper Road Extension is probably one of the
Another
key
arterial.
things. It takes traffic, instead of coming into Dillon Springs, it takes them up and brings them around.
It gives us another crossing across the Amite River that you don't have to go to Port Vincent or go up to Grangeville, Highway 63 to get across, which, Ascension has multiple crossings coming up.
Yeah. And
We're
I'm not
really
trying to
limited to
say
3.
anything about, what I'm trying to do is look at it from the standpoint that it turns the headlights going north, So instead of the traffic just continuing to get to be more and more and more and more of a problem at Magnolia Beach and Florida and the interstate, some of that traffic can go north and come in the other side. So even after you get across the bridge, all that traffic is still dumping in that East Baton Rouge part of the parish, and it makes it even harder to get to work for the people that transfer over. So if we can get them to go north and bring in Hooper and come in from another direction out of Baton Rouge, and it's more convenient for them, then that helps our people getting back and forth. But all right, so we'll get that, email it out. Me, you, and Mr. Meek can sit down about the budget and make sure that's good. We'll put it on this agenda. I have a note. We'll put it on next month's agenda to look at that again, move it forward to the council. I'll try to let, if you want, you can email the council as well, all the council.
I'll send it to Sandy and let Sandy.
Okay, let her diverse it out.
That way it's
And
in your
then
packets.
You're gonna give us an update next month, since we got the bulk of it now. You'll give us an update next month on where we're at with the roads and criteria roads or whatever what do you call it again?
Criterion manual.
Yeah.
Criteria.
All right, did I miss anything? So 449 South, you wanna explain, everybody knows 449 South is basically just an extension of 449 going down to Black Mud Road.
Right.
And at some point, we would love to be able to tie it in a little bit more convenient to the interstate. So, why are you shaking your head no?
They've been trying to get a interchange at Pete's Highway for 40 years.
So the best thing about 449 to Black Mud Road is we don't have to have anybody's approval. They can take Black Mud Road and get on to Satsuma. At least it gives our constituents, like Lonnie here, an opportunity not to get off at Dillon Springs, not to get off at Jubin, not to get off at Walker. He can go on and get off at Satsuma. Because once he crosses and hits Black Mud, there won't be no stop. It'll just go all the way up to the only time he'll stop is at 190. And if we can possibly get just an on-ramp from this extension to where the people that are leaving the plants and everything else, instead of having to go to Walker and all those commercial trucks going in and out, then they can get on right there and go about their merry way.
Especially from Martin Brower and places, you know.
I
Also,
see you shaking your head.
one day, we need more east-west. Walker South is so busy and populated, and there's the only real way to go east-west is I-12, or what, 42. There's and
42,
without a
then you go down
roundabout.
22 on the south end. Yep, we don't have any what I call intermediate
Hood
connectors.
Road, but maybe Drakeford McMorris, or eventually extending Spring Ranch Road to Milton, or some kind of way to get.
Why you need a major street plan.
Well, and
Robert
that's what's
took me-
in this.
Well, let me. If
That-
you don't mind me,
Go
I'll
ahead,
elaborate.
Go for it. Yeah.
Robert beat me to it a little bit, but part of the 449 South master, if you want to call it that, is to potentially connect down all the way down to 16 down in Port Vincent, with side connectors at Spillers Ranch, reconnecting Drakeford McMorris Road, connecting at Hood, and then continuing down. So that would give you a more east-west. And once you hit Satsuma Road, then you got the next step. And I know there's been some talks, Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, I call it the old company road, the old paper mill company road, just south down there, making that connector across, because there's
Talking
some,
about on 63?
going off 60.
That's old Frost Road, they call it.
Yeah. Making that connector. It's just one step at the other.
From Frost to South Satsuma?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So once we adopt Robert's thing, and then that all of these streets ultimately will be on a map that everybody will be able to look at and say, and these are right of ways that we would send through the master plan, just like we're going to do with these two. They'll go through the master plan, they'll go through the planning to say these are concept roads. To where if a home development goes down there and they want to develop, then, and, you know, it's got something to do with Drayford Mars or whatever, then we can say no or whatever. But one of them is the Milton Road, where, was it Louis Vincent? No.
No,
What is it?
Walker South.
You're talking
Walker.
South Walker,
Yeah, the
yeah.
Milton Road south
Yeah.
of.
Yeah,
So that,
not the one up by, yeah.
so trying to
Yeah.
connect that
on
as a
Walker
service
North.
road coming all the way down.
Yes.
As well as the other one going across, and then Drayford McMorris. So it'll give a lot of that east-west, and then when they have a reg, they may end up trying to use some of that. Just depends on how we develop it. But infrastructure, forward thinking. And that's
So-
what all of this is about. It's a lot of talk and a lot of yakking back and forth, but we're physically are moving forward with these pieces. You got anything else, Robert?
I'm sleepy.
You sleepy? Anything else?
No, sir.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank y'all for your patience. I know it's a lot of yakking, but it will actually be some really major improvements for the parish once we can get some of this stuff done. And it just takes a lot of talking and discussing to get it to a point. And I apologize to the people, but all right. In the verses of transparency, this is the way we do it. So, motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Mangus, second by Mr. Watt. We adjourn.